Look, if you're an App Connect or MQ user, you already know you've got some serious power at your fingertips. But what if that's just the beginning? What if you could take those tools you already trust and, build something bigger? A single, unified platform that's actually ready for what's next. That's exactly what we're going to dive into today. So let's just cut to the chase. You've got these amazing tools, right? But are they really talking to each other? Or are they stuck in their own little worlds? Are you accidentally building these islands of integration that are actually slowing you down and making everything way more complicated than it needs to be? And this leads us to a problem that pretty much every company is wrestling with right now. We're calling it the chaos of connectivity. It's this weird situation where the very tools you bought to connect everything have actually created this massive, tangled mess. And meanwhile, the business side is just screaming for speed, right? It's relentless. Going fast isn't a nice-to-have feature anymore. It's table stakes. You want to talk about digital excellence? It all boils down to one thing. How fast can you automate and integrate? But here's the crazy part. Get this. A staggering 82% of leaders are saying that their own IT complexity is the number one thing holding them back. So the very tools we bought to solve the problem have kind of become the problem. How ironic is that? So think about how we got here. We were all in this mad dash for digital transformation, right? We added new apps, new clouds, a ton of APIs. And what happened? We ended up with this massive tool sprawl and these really messy, disconnected workflows. And that's it. That's the chaos that's killing the speed everyone is chasing. Okay, so what's the actual price tag on all this chaos? I mean, when even your heavy hitters, your App Connect, your MQ, are stuck on their own little islands, the cost of the business is very, very real. And it's high. This really lays it all out, doesn't it? The old way versus the new way. Over on the left, you've got your traditional standalone deployments. I mean, they work, sure, but man, are they slow, full of bottlenecks. Then on the right, you've got the cloud-native world, built for speed, built for automation. And that gap between the two, it's getting wider every single day. And all those silos, they turn into actual business pain. I bet some of this sounds familiar. Higher operational risk, yeah? APIs and data scattered all over the place. That feeling that you just can't keep up with what the business wants. And of course, security holes and wasting your smartest people's time on grunt work. It's gotten to the point where standing still is actually the riskiest thing you can do. Okay, so how do you fix this? How do you bridge that gap without just, throwing out all the tools and skills you spent years building? Well, that's where the solution comes in. It's a unified platform approach, and it's called IBM Cloud Pak for integration. Now, this part is super, super important. Let me be clear. This is not about replacing App Connect or MQ. It's not a rip and replace job. It's about elevating them. It's about putting them on a modern foundation that lets you unlock their full potential so they can finally work together the way they were always meant to. And this is where the magic really happens. Look, you don't just get App Connect and MQ. They become part of a whole integration toolkit. You need top-tier API management? It's in there. Need to move huge files fast? Aspra's there. Event streaming? Yep, got that too. It's all under one flexible license, which means you can finally pick the perfect tool for the job every single time without a new procurement cycle. So how does this all work? How does it pull everything together? Well, it's not magic, but it's close. The real secret is the incredibly solid cloud-native foundation it's all built on. Okay, it all starts with this idea of containers. The simplest way to think about them is like standardized shipping containers for software. You pack up your code and all its dependencies inside one of these boxes, and that's it. Now your MQQ manager or your App Connect integration is going to run the exact same way no matter where you put it. On-prem, in the cloud, you name it. But okay, what happens when you have hundreds or even thousands of these software shipping containers? You need a port authority, right? A system to manage all of them. And that's Kubernetes. It's the brain of the operation, the orchestrator that automatically handles all the hard stuff like deployment, scaling, and management. And then here's the final crucial layer. You take the raw power of Kubernetes and you wrap it in Red Hat OpenShift. OpenShift is what makes it truly enterprise ready. It adds all the heavy-duty security, the management tools, the automation, everything you need for the stuff that absolutely cannot fail. And that is the powerful, secure platform that Cloud Pak for integration is built right on top of. All right, that's the tech foundation. It's powerful stuff. But what does it actually mean for you, for your team? How does it change your day-to-day work? Let's get practical and look at how this impacts your entire workflow. Basically, your whole integration lifecycle just gets a massive upgrade. It becomes so much simpler, so much more automated. You're creating stuff faster with templates, you're automating deployments right into your CI/CD pipeline. You can actually see everything from end to end to operate and monitor from one spot. And honestly, my favorite part? Upgrades get way easier with things like readiness checkers. It just takes the headache out of maintenance. And this isn't just a tech benefit, it helps everybody. Your integration specialists, they can finally stop doing all that manual, repetitive work and focus on building cool stuff in one consistent environment. The application owners, they get what they've always wanted, new integrations in minutes instead of weeks. And the CIO, they're happy because they get tighter security, better governance, and a lower total cost of ownership. It really is a win-win-win. But let's talk about the bottom line, the ROI. This isn't just about cool new tech, it's about real business results. So let's look at the actual payoff from modernizing. Okay, check this out. Forrester did a whole study on this, and they found that companies see a 35 to 55% reduction in the time it takes to build an integration. Just let that sink in. You could be cutting your delivery time in half. That's not just a small improvement, that's a game changer. That's how you start saying yes to the business a lot more often. And it's not just about speed, it's about stability. That same study, it found a 40 to 60% drop in unplanned outages. Think about what that means. Fewer frantic late-night phone calls, more resilient services, and way more trust in the systems that your whole business depends on. And this isn't just theoretical. Look at FAW Volkswagen. They used the API management in the platform and completely slashed their partner onboarding time from months down to just weeks. That's a huge acceleration for their entire business. That's the speed we were talking about, but in the real world. Or here's another great one, Tyne, a massive dairy cooperative. I mean, think about this scale. They connected 7,000 farms to 30 different processing plants. They finally broke down those data silos across their entire supply chain. That's the perfect story of moving from those lonely islands to one truly connected company. So if there's one thing to take away, it's this. Modernizing with Cloud Pak for integration isn't about getting rid of App Connect and MQ. It's about giving those tools the platform they deserve, a platform that makes your entire strategy way more agile, more resilient, and just more efficient. It's about building a foundation that's actually ready for what's next, which really just leaves one question.